right, we have one more talk today from Chris Winslett, Data Agility. I'm a horrible intro, I'm sorry guys.
All right, I am Chris Winslett. I was a high school teacher, out of undergrad, so if you just have a question, just shout it out, we'll keep going. Also, I'm standing in between you and the beer, so no one's going to regret this being short, right? So if I give you the Cliff Notes, wrap this up, then we'll be done. So, but that shouldn't, go ahead and ask the questions, right? I'd rather this be interactive than it just be a talk. So data agility. Hopefully this talk is a challenge for you to grow in your role of DevOps. If you're already doing these things, hopefully it's a challenge for you to tell people about how you're doing these things. DevOps have a unique set of skills, and they're going to be even more in demand over the next 5 years, and I'm about to tell you why. It's not what you're currently doing, it's going to be the next generation of DevOps, which is going to be even more exciting. So about me, I'm Chris Winslett. I work product at Crunchy Data. At Crunchy Data, all we do is run Postgres for people. Postgres is the best open source database on the planet. It's a SQL variety of Postgres, so it's kind of comparable to like SQL Server or Oracle if you're from the proprietary world. So Postgres, check it out. I love Postgres. That's going to be one of the last times I sell you on Postgres. I might talk about it again in a minute, but this isn't going to be a sales pitch. But I am here to sell you on DevOps working more closely with the rest of the business, right? So not necessarily just working with the devs and the application devs, but other people need you too. Marketing needs you, sales needs you, everyone needs you. And there's a specific reason that they need you. So TLDR, due to AI, data is changing everything right now, right? So I don't know if you as developers have used Copilot, but you can develop now extraordinarily fast. It's actually brought a new energy to coding for me and for a lot of people that I've talked to, because it just kind of gets through there, or gets you to the valuable thing that you want to do faster. So businesses are about to seek out expertise on this expertise in AI data and operations management. So that's two things, right? So AI operations and AI data management. Businesses need these DevOps skills to do that for AI, what they've done for application layers, right? So over the next however long, it's going to be accelerating quite fast. We're going to be accelerating over the next even the next 24 months. Like, it feels like things are changing so quickly. And to kind of tell you how quickly they're changing, I had a completely different presentation in mind when I submitted this on December 1st than what I'm presenting today, because that's how fast it's changing. December 1st was the call for papers for this. So December 1st, it was like data agility. Yeah, so let's get data in the hands of data scientists. Let's get data in the hands of marketers. Let's get data in the hands of people. Well, on November 30th, ChatGPT launched GPT to the world, and everything changed shortly after that, and things have even been accelerating since then. If you are a coder or enjoy coding, here's a blog post. You can scan that QR code. This is a blog post. What it does is it actually takes recipes from the Armed Forces recipes list, sends that against OpenAI, and then helps you find similar recipes. So that doesn't sound all that awesome, except all we're doing is throwing out how to produce the recipes to OpenAI. It gives us a vector set back. We take that vector set, we then use it to compare nearest neighbor. And then based on that nearest neighbor, we can say pizza is like chicken Parmesan. And what's really funny about that is you can also ask it, what is the opposite by what's the farthest away? And the opposite of corn dog is salad. So it's right. Okay, so check out this blog post if you just want to play around with it. If you want to play around with Postgres with a vector database, PG vector is what's used here. The word vector database is going to be important in this domain. If you do intend to work in this particular area, expect to start running vector databases pretty soon. Okay, so about me. I'm a typical web dev. I started with PHP, MySQL 20 years ago, then went to Ruby on Rails. After I did Ruby on Rails, or actually I did a stint as a high school teacher, and then I did Ruby on Rails. And then I worked at various startups. I worked at Grades First and then Compose, where I've been running databases in the cloud for probably about 15 years now. So I've talked with a lot of people about how to have this level of data agility. But there's more to me, right? So I'm a typical web developer who runs attribution marketing and has scaled application databases to hundreds of thousands of users on MySQL, Postgres, MongoDB, and Redis, who has built a DBAS for those databases, who's built SQL that's generated financial reports, who while at IBM ran teams doing attribution marketing, organized product managers to improve their product based on customer behavior, and ran GDPR for IBM's digital marketing group. So needless to say, I've been in data for a long time. People come to me because I just really enjoy going and finding data and getting answers out of that data. That's the thing that I enjoy. I enjoy doing that at the startup level because I can do it. It's really only like 3 or 4 data sets maximum, right? But whenever you're working at a large enterprise, you got to bounce off this person, you have to bounce off this person, you have to go ask this person, you have to track down all these sources of data. I have a lot of respect for people who can navigate that. But if you ask me, I'm a web dev, and my favorite framework is still Ruby on Rails. So I want to frame that about data agility, because once we get into data agility, when I started thinking about data agility, and I've thought about it for a long time, I've got to break out of my bias of a web dev, right? And as a DevOps person, a lot of DevOps people came out of web dev, they've come out of other areas. So you have those same biases once you get into it, right? I have my bias as a web dev. You can come ask me about data agility. I'll say, listen, if I can stand up a database and I can connect to that database, I can back up that database, I can do all this stuff, that's all that really needs to happen, right? But that's not true, because I also have marketing people who need access to that data to be able to run queries, to be able to build. So that's what I'm asking for you today. So I'm actually about to show you the part of the presentation that I ditched. Okay, so this is the part of the presentation that I ditched. But what's important about this is a data lifecycle. Data lifecycle, what it does, it basically tries to track a bit, right, through its entire life. So you have generation of data, you have collection of data, you have processing, you have storage, you have management, you have analysis, you have visualization, and you have interpretation. So as a web dev, when I think generation, I think, okay, I have a user typing into a form. When I have collection, it's like, okay, I collect the data from that form. When I have processing, it's like, okay, my controller does some kind of action. When I have storage, it's like, okay, I store it. Management, really all I want to do is be able to make sure that database is performant. And then as a traditional web dev, I don't care about any of the analysis, visualization, or interpretation, right? That's for somebody else. That's for product. But product people view it a little bit differently. So they think about data generation as what features were used, what collection, and then how do I collect what features were used by the user, and then how do I process that, how do I store it, how can I query it so that I can make better product decisions. As a marketer, whenever I'm thinking about this particular data lifecycle, I think, okay, I have generation of data. That means I have I have source attribution. So where did my customer come from? How did my customer find out about my my product? How did I collect that data? How did I process that data? How do I store it? How do I make analysis on it? And then how do I interpret that data so that I can spend more money the sources that generate the most amount of customers. So everyone has their own data lifecycle. So what's important whenever you see this is when someone comes and asks you in your organization for help with data, break out of like kind of your traditional kind of mold and think about what they need and how they need it, and try to understand it, because it's going to be completely different than you. So then what I took is I'm going to mash this up against levels of autonomy, and I actually took self-driving cars. So level 0 is absolutely no driving automation. That would be like traditionally, I need a database. I have to go talk to a DBA. That DBA sometime in the future sets me up a database. That DBA sends me over some credentials. I connect to it. I just connect to it as a black box. That would be level 0. Level 5, full automation. If you've ever used a database as a service, that's basically what you're getting with any kind of database as a service, and that's why you should use Crunchy Bridge, because we have the best database as a service for Postgres. But the full automation, what you get is you can make a call, you can create a database from an API, you can create it from a backup. You have the ability as the end user, as the web dev, to create the data service that you need. This is really quite expensive if you try to build it yourself internally. You get it really cheaply and really nicely whenever you do a database as a service. My back of the napkin math says it cost about $2 million to build a really nice, fully automated level 5 automation for database as a service internally. And that's just because performance monitoring, all that stuff costs time and energy. And then level 3 is like, I can stand up a data set, but if it breaks, I've got to go talk to someone to fix it, right? So that's kind of somewhere in between. So we're going to mash this up. All right. So this was the original talk. I promise you it's going to get better after this. So the level 0, level 1, level 2 across the top. Over on the left, we have data agility. We have role data needs at the top. Everyone's going to have their own kind of set, right? So a typical web dev inside of your business, you look at, I've got the role of web dev. I've got data needs, application database. Okay, I can generate data, I can collect data, I can process data, I can store data. Management of that data becomes kind of level 3. I have to go ask someone for help. Every organization is going to have this a little bit different. Can you stand up a database inside your organization as you need it? Can you connect to the data that you need to be able to connect to? If you look at marketer, so marketer attribution data, so that's what I talked about earlier. Where did my customers come from? So you have level 0, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5 generation on the left. So here's the problem, okay? This is where frustration comes from over on the business side with regards to data that DevOps can help with, right? The generation, collection, processing, storage, and management. The business needs data. The business needs you to help them get that data, because things are happening in the DevOps world where customers are interacting with things, where customers are using things, and marketers are flying blind. If you ever think, gosh, I wish my company would use more data to make decisions, you can actually help with that by making it easier to get that data. So if you gave a marketer the ability to understand where collection, processing, storage, and management came from, then that would actually help them with the analysis, visualization, and interpretation. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay, excellent. Basically, what I'm asking right here is, if someone rings up the phone and says, hey, I need access to data, you understand the problem differently. You understand with their mindset how they're going to use that data, and then you help them get them. Okay. So now, what's the characteristics of a good company, right? The characteristics of a company that I enjoy working for is one that is capable of reinventing itself, right? Is capable of saying, this is the way we've done things in the past, these are the things we're going to do in the future. Is capable of saying, we want more progress, right? Those are the ones that are fun to work for. Those are the ones that gravitate people to them. So there's three ways that businesses reinvent themselves with data. These are data-enabled business advantages, right? One is you have a unique set of data. That data is uniquely different than the market. You can then use that data to provide a comparative advantage. You go out there and you beat the market, right? Another one is you find data adjacencies, you find new use cases for that data, you find new ways to actually bring customers in. The third one, which I like the best, and this is really my jam right here, right? Improve the customer experience. So watch customer behavior, figure out how customers use your product, improve that customer experience, reduce bugs, really just make that funnel just nice and frictionless for customers so that they enjoy using it. So these are three different ways that businesses reinvent themselves through data. Again, these are all within the automated control area that is DevOps. Okay, so why data agility? The businesses with accessible data will be able to transform to new business models that drive growth. So if you automate your data pipelines, automate your data collection, automate your data analysis, just really focus on that, you're going to help your business transform into new business models. Why DevOps for these problems? Because businesses will be wrong in these transformations before they are right. And this is even more so with AI. This is really what's great about DevOps, right? Is you can build something, you can stand it up, you can tear it down, you can rebuild it. And then each time you rebuild it, you can tweak it and make it a little bit better. The alternative that existed before DevOps was I manually went in there, installed something, and then I worked on it, and then I kind of had a script and I kind of ran those same kind of commands again until it worked, and until I improved it. So what DevOps does is it shortens the time of iteration, right? It shortens the feedback loop. It shortens your ability to be able to get information even faster. And what is about to happen, what's happening with AI, no one knows the answer for AI within your business. Someone somewhere has a budget for AI inside of your business. They want to know how to use it. They want to know they've got this pile of data. They want to see what they can get out of it. They need someone like you that can help them iterate over these structures, over this data, over these AI models. Okay, so I talked about why the businesses need it. Now I'm going to be a little bit selfish. Some of the best advice I ever received for career advancement is be in the line of revenue, right? So be in the line of revenue. So line of revenue is customer buys product, customer uses product, customer is happy, buys more product. What you'll get by helping with this data, by helping people improve their product, by helping people improve marketing, is suddenly, if you help with this, you are in the line of revenue, right? You're not just saving dollars, you're also helping the company generate growth, generate new business, that kind of thing. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, so businesses need it. It's great for your career. You should totally go tackle this stuff, right? Okay, so how to tackle it? Okay, step one, find the spark in your organization, right? Someone somewhere has data that they want to do something with, right? Someone has maybe some support data, maybe some data in a CRM, maybe some data about sourcing and attribution. There's data somewhere within your organization that someone says, I want to build a model, I want to see what we can do with this. So find a tangible project. The crazy thing about data is you really want to start with a question before you start with just a big blob of data. So many times I've seen data projects start with, we want to throw a bunch of data in a lake and then see what we can fish for later, right? I've never seen that kind of pan out to the way that people think it's going to pan out. The reason for that is when you're storing data in a lake, you're storing the data that you currently have accessible. And Edwards Deming said the most important data is the data that is currently not known, right? And so what's going to happen is you're going to find a tangible product. That tangible project, you're going to have a question, you're going to try to answer that question, and what you're going to realize is you don't have all the data necessary to answer that question, right? You got a little bit closer, you answered some questions, but metrics beget more metrics. Okay, and so then that Spark becomes a little bit bigger project, and then that Spark becomes a little bit bigger project. It's not as straight line as this, right? It's much more complicated, the project, how it works, even whether you have success or failure. There's a lot of dead ends. There is no certainty on AI projects or data projects. But the smaller you start, the more concise you start with a question, the better. Okay. So start with a tangible project. Use your DevOps skills to iterate on that project. People in business a lot of the times think that projects just have a certainty. They have a certainty of outcome. I feel like DevOps really creates that iterative outcome, that iterative scope that will make AI possible inside of these businesses. Okay. Training environments. So that was kind of step one, step two. This is like a V1 of like a training environment, right? So keep it simple. This is pretty hand-wavy. There is a lot of details here. But you're going to have your existing data, which I've got at the top. You need some kind of in-memory data aggregator somewhere that just kind of pulls in enough data to train a model. You don't want to pull in all your data. Don't pull in all the data on your first V1 of your training environment. Just pull in enough to be able to test out some of your thesis, to test out some of your understanding, to try these things. Because with your DevOps skills, with the ability to stand up a data set, initialize that data set, be able to stand up a model to be trained, train that model, and then be able to take that model, deploy it into a situation and ask questions of it, that's what you've been training for in DevOps. Like those are the skill sets you have. This is a different tool set. And I'm kind of excited about DevOps doing that. So in-memory data aggregator, use something like, maybe Postgres. So the Postgres database has foreign data wrappers. Those foreign data wrappers can connect to other databases. So if you have data in a MongoDB, maybe have data in a file, maybe have data in another Postgres, maybe have data in a SQL server. Well, Postgres actually makes it really nice that you can bring all that together and query it in one place and kind of mash all that data together and then feed it into your model. Okay. And then what you want to get to is your V1 of a production environment. And that's simple. Like you take the data you take the model that you have, you add some kind of way to feed that data into from a message bus into that model. And then what's going to happen after that is you're probably going to have some kind of vector database where you store the outputs of this model. And then you're going to have some kind of SQL API or JSON layer. All these components here are all infrastructure components. They're all open source, available open source. You can start mashing this stuff together today. You can start kind of learning some of the terminology about it today without having to go pay a lot of money for it. This is going to be the next phase of growth, in my opinion, about where we are, right? So we've got the companies that can iterate on models, on trained models the fastest, that can iterate on bringing in the data that they have, can iterate on sourcing data within their organization. They're the ones who are going to get to a solution the fastest with AI. They're the ones who make their outcomes most likely to be positive. DevOps, you guys all have those capabilities because you have been iterating on these kind of build up, create, train, tear down,